Today is a fascinating opportunity for role reversal. Rather than Steve being the interviewer, he is today the interviewee. And I put forth this suggestion a couple of months ago, paying attention to the podcast. It's great to see the insights and thinking and contributions of some fascinating thought leaders serving lawyers and law firms. Well, one of the thought leaders who I think makes amazing contributions to lawyers and law firms is our own Steve Riley. And I thought, boy, what a great opportunity to pick his brain and to gain some insight from him. So we're going to get to peer into the odd and unusual line of Steve Riley today. And we really are going to have a conversation about the future practice of law, the future of the law firm. And Steve, I don't think you would consider yourself to be a futurist per se. I just know that these things, because of the work that we do and your skills, you pay attention to the future, and you are well aware that the future is unraveling quickly in front of us. And although we might be asking questions about what things look like 10 years from now, it seems like the future is having a real present day impact. And I'm curious, do you agree with that? And do you see that? And are you encountering that?
Well, first, thanks for doing the role reversal. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate the kind words about being a thought leader. And I thought I would be having a great opportunity to hang out and talk to you today. So I thought that was the predominant reason to do the podcast with you, because I don't get to hang out with you that much. So, um, yeah, so the future, yeah, I think people are feeling a greater sense of anxiety because the rate of change seems to be happening so quickly for everyone. And the rate of change can be happening so quickly for everyone. Everything from technology, you and I are doing this in the first quarter of 2025, so political changes have occurred after the election. Some economic changes, world changes, so a lot of things are happening. And I think people get more anxious. They're used to some speed of change, they're used to some level of change, but they get very anxious about, well, this is okay, but the speed of change is going a lot faster than I agreed to. Like, I did not agree to this speed of change, and we need to slow this right down. Like, the carousel is going too fast. Hit the brakes. And when you add that to practice stress, life stress, family stress, people get pretty heated and very anxious, which only adds more stress to it. So when you bring up the conversation about the future, I think the speed of change is for a lot of people emotionally happening quickly and a lot faster than anyone's ever been used to. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I agree with you. I think the speed of change is seems to be much more intense at this point in time.
What is you see as a challenge that they need to confront or overcome if they're going to be successful in launching their practice?
I think the development of business skills straight up. So when I say business skills, it's the ability to interact with other people so that you can create value for them in such a way that they find it valuable and that they compensate you one way or the other for that value. What is value? And so some people say, well, value is just a good enough thing. Like, it's good enough, it's acceptable to me, and I'll trade for that. So a lot of people don't, I think, really appreciate that when you start in a professional career, whether lawyer, legal assistant, what have you, that you've just gotten a license and the right to practice. You've got the privilege to practice. It doesn't mean you're entitled to a darn thing. And that's frustrating for a lot of people because they work so hard to get in a position, whether it's working as a paralegal, legal assistant, young lawyer, associate, or what have you. They work so hard and they're like, okay, I made it. Woo! I made it. I got the ticket to the show, and now let me reap the rewards. And then reality kicks in, and they realize, oh, there's so much more to learn. And there's so much more that I can do. There's so much more that I have to learn to make myself actually valuable, useful, and of service to other human beings. And that's a real challenge for a lot of people. It takes a few years for young lawyers to figure it out. And sometimes they never do. It takes a while for a lot of people to figure out, how do I become more useful, capable, and of service to other people in such a way that it makes a difference for them. So I think for a lot of lawyers, we sometimes get hung up like, well, I know how to practice law. Yeah, so what? So do, at least in Florida, 1.1 million other knuckleheads. So what? You got the license. So what? Now what are you going to do? You have the right to appear in front of a judge. You have the right to go to court. You have a right to say you're an attorney. Um, but it's like anything else in life, unless you're making a difference for someone in such a way that they're willing to write a check for it, it doesn't really matter. So I think the biggest challenge in 2025 is helping people to look at some of their business skills. I'll list off a couple and see what you think. One is just straight up relationship building, communication skills, verbal skills, how to talk to people, how to make requests of people, how to ask for referrals. That doesn't sound terrible. Little basic things, how to play well with team members, how to collaborate. It's one of the things that I've had to learn to do, painfully and sometimes not so painfully, is how to collaborate and work together. So there's a lot of skill work in the communication realm just to be able to do that. The ability just to set good goals. I think there's somewhat work that you have to do to really understand how to set goals for yourself and think about those goals. I think there's some straight up sales skills that a lot of lawyers learn. I think one of the things that Victor Medina led us on in the past year or so is the Atticus Sales Academy. I think it's a fantastic commitment by us to teach lawyers, and people on the intake team sales skills. So if you're looking to really up level your skills, just like you would in a video game, you're going to have to, or up level your game, you're going to have to look at how you up level your skills. And that's hard for people to realize that, the up leveling never stops. If you want to be a bigger player, if you want certain things in your life, you're going to have to invest in improving your skills, whatever those skills may be. When you start thinking about how the technology is causing change throughout the world, anything where AI is infringing, causing change, causing disruption is a significant opportunity for lawyers to get involved with. Now, so for me, here's the formula: dispute resolution or litigation, depending on how you want to frame that, plus niche, plus emerging technology equals a fantastic growth opportunity for law firms. So if you're in a position where the bottom 10% or 20% of your firm is consisting of simple processes for simple problems, what I want you to look around and say, okay, where's the complexity at? Where are places that can help people with more complicated problems? So when I did the narrowing niche model, one of the things I predicted, and I still think is a prediction, is hyper niching. So you're going to see AI allow lawyers to hyper specialize in subspecialties in the existing specialties that they're currently in. For example, as an estate planning lawyer, you probably won't be doing just estate planning. You might be doing estate planning for blended families, and that might be your specialty. So I'm just using that as an example. In litigation, family law, you can just look around and see that as another opportunity. So I think the opportunity to grow a firm and kind of swim in the wake of AI is available. And I think a lot of lawyers are just so busy, they're not taking their head up to look, and they're saying, well, that AI stuff is cool. This AI stuff is creating some really cool opportunities for you as a business person to expand your niche or expand into. So that's the other element of this for me.
I think that AI will force us in the workplace and away from the workplace to become more human, to really define what it means to be human, which I think is a very good thing. I think that to the extent that AI is a tool that can streamline mechanical processing of information and make efficient recommendations, if that replaces, if that defines what makes us human, then that's a sad statement, right? And I think it will streamline a lot of processes, but it will give us when properly used, will give us greater liberty in the workplace. So then my work is actually more of a human function. And then obviously if I use it personally, it allows me to be, much more of a human. If it takes care of tasks that allow me to give my attention to the things that matter to me, I think it's a great tool and it's an asset.